Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Hope you guys are having a great week. Wednesday, we start NFL football tomorrow. The Chiefs Ravens going to kick off the season, so it's football basically every day now, which is going to be awesome. Super excited about that. We're going to break down potential monster running backs that can be joining the team next year. What have we heard? What do we know? We're going to talk about that. It's always first on BuckeyeScoop.com. So if you guys are on BuckeyeScoop.com, you already have a pretty good idea of who we're going to be talking about. We also have some intel on the team. The moods are very high right now. Nice, steamy, hot, hard practice yesterday, Bloody Tuesday. They got after the O-line, but I think that the O-line I thought they did pretty well. I mean, again, I know a lot of people like to beat those guys to death, but I think that for the first game, I mean, you can go look across America and go watch Clemson, Florida State. There are a lot of O-lines that didn't look to Oregon, Michigan, a lot of quote unquote good O lines, talented 5-star, whatever O lines did not look too hot. So again, I'll say it. I said it before. I'll say it again. Without 2-a-days and with limited contact, and with what Ohio State dealt with the hand, foot, and mouth disease, some of these guys didn't get a lot of work in camp, and they're guys that need work. These guys aren't Trent Williams or Orlando Pace where they can skip training camp and roll the helmets out and dominate. Like these guys need work. So I think that they're going to round into form through this week. And again, there is a lot of motivation this week to turn up and really have a nice performance, because if you don't have a nice performance and then you have a bye week, I can promise you that Ryan Day will absolutely put the screws to these guys during the bye week. Now, if you step up and play well, then it might recalibrate things. But if you stink it up, man, that bye week is not fun. It turns into basically scrimmages every day. So these guys have a lot of motivation. But again, we appreciate all that you guys do for this channel. Again, we broke every record we could last month. Views, impressions, it was absolutely insane. So thank you guys for all of that. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click the little alert bell. If you guys want to do something amazing and spectacular and make yourself feel great about helping Buckeye Scoop, click on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and just subscribe. You don't have to pay anything. It's absolutely free. Leave us a 5-star review. A lot of you guys have done that. It's been amazing to see the uptick in great reviews. It really helps us a lot. So that takes 30 seconds to do. Do it right on your smartphone. And it really is a big help for us. So we appreciate you guys for that. With that being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend Nevadabuck. Nevada, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's exciting time. I love weeks that start with like Labor Day on Monday, because it feels like Monday felt like Sunday, and then like Wednesday feels like Tuesday, but actually we start the NFL tomorrow. And then we got the Packers on Friday, and then we got we got Texas, Michigan in the morning, we got Ohio State at night, we got a UFC card, and then we got an NFL Sunday. So like this is it just could not be any better than the next 4 or 5 days. So I'm definitely excited.
Yeah, this is a great stretch. I love when there's these wonky times of the year where you've got NFL football on a Friday. Obviously, they've made Thursday night basically a staple, which again, I know that players hate Thursday night football. I love Thursday night football because I love anytime I can watch an NFL game instead of a MAC game. I'll take that any day of the week. And I like having the game on Friday is going to be different because you don't see a lot of NFL games on Fridays. So that'll be exciting. And then we got a great slate on Saturday. And then Sunday is the opening weekend of NFL football. Like this is literally the peak of the year for me and for a lot of people because it's the start of football season, real football. I'm really excited about it, but I don't want to bury the lead. There is a very monstrous player out there that you got a little bit of info on who potentially, again, there's a long way to go with this stuff, and there's a lot of moving parts in this, but talk a little bit about Nate Frazier, who's 5-star running back, best running back in the country. Nick Saban, again, don't listen to recruiting analysts, don't listen to On Three or Rivals or any of these things. Nick Saban on College Game Day said he was the best high school running back in the country his last year when he studying recruiting. He ends up at Georgia. Kid named Nate Frazier. Tell us a little bit about what is going on there and why that affects Ohio State.
Well, I mean, Ohio State has really made kind of a fundamental change in terms of their approach with running backs, and they are firmly of the opinion that they need to have two great running backs and two absolutely game ready running backs at all time, facing in this new 16-17 game schedule. And Nate Frazier is a guy that, for a number of different reasons, has kind of come on strongly onto Ohio State's radar. And this isn't just a name. This isn't just oh passing it. Just I'm just telling you, keep an eye on this one. This it may seem unlikely, but if we had it, we'd have said Quinshon Judkins last year, and people would have said that was equally unlikely. Well, I'm telling you, this one is more likely than Quinshon Judkins. This is a kid. The Georgia culture isn't for everybody. Now Georgia has still got tremendous players and you know great head coach, winning program, lots of good things from that standpoint, but the culture isn't for everybody. And just a name to watch for because I think that there could be movement on this. Seems a little early to be talking about that, but I wanted to put it out there. Just want you guys to kind of keep an eye on it. Let's see what happens on this as it goes forward, but have a strong inkling. There's a reason why we're talking about this, but certainly not for Ohio State. And this is, like I said, more than it's not we're not just throwing darts, we're not just taking a name out, but just keep an eye on this guy. Super talented guy, would be a great fit for Ohio State, and certainly could be part of Ohio State's program going forward. You're on mute, Kurt.
I was gonna say, if you want to connect some dots, obviously, very familiar with Carlos Lachlan, who's at Oregon. This kid's from Mater Day. Chris Henry Jr. is going to be in the fold here. Kane Dixon Wyatt. I mean, there's going to be a nice little Mater Day pipeline potentially getting built right now. And again, this has nothing to do with James Peoples. It has everything to do with the fact that we want two first round ish type running backs in the program. And again, this kid got the first drive in the second quarter versus Clemson when it was, like 10-3 or whatever it was. I mean, Georgia hadn't quite blown him out yet. So this kid is a special player. And again, Nick Saban, who can evaluate a running back, literally said he was the best running back in the country last year. And obviously Alabama wanted him. He was their number one running back. We wanted him. But again, this is something where I think that these kids, again with agents, are getting smarter. And they're trying to figure out what's the best circumstance to get to the league with the least amount of wear and tear on their bodies. They don't need to be all beat up. So again, what Trey Quinshon is doing is going to set kind of a precedence, I believe, for Ohio State and for a lot of these kids. Again, like Trey made a business decision where he said, you know what, I will forego the Doak Walker Award, which he has no chance of winning just because he's going to split the carries with Quinshon, which again is fantastic for us and for him and for the longevity of the season. But with that being said, I think his stock will be higher because again, in these NFL teams, you have to remember there's a lot of eggheads in these personnel departments now. They study analytics. They say, hey, this guy's had 350 carries. Like, how many years are we going to get out of him? Are we even going to get a second? I mean, and a lot of these guys, they never get second contracts, or they don't get huge second contracts. But if you get a guy who's got explosive plays like Trey does, and again, he only had like 8 carries, but that he did plenty in those. Not to mention the pass protection reps. So I mean, his stock went way up, and it wasn't because he had like ridiculously gaudy stats, but he had 8 yards of carry, which is enough for me. I mean, again, against Akron, I hope that Trey doesn't have to carry the ball 20 times against Akron. If he does, then that means we're doing something wrong. But I like this. I like the aggression. There's always little stuff going on to figure out if people like people or not. And I think that that's it's exciting. And again, I like that Ohio State is aggressive and again they're always planning because again Quinshon and Trey are both gone after this year. That's a foregone conclusion. And you got to get your ducks in a row. And again, the Georgia culture, they were out early on David Sanders Jr. It's been disastrous. It's like Kirby. They kind of remind me of the Gators, like 06, 07, 08, 09, where it was literally just an animal house. And they had, 50 guys get arrested. And, they won a lot and they were really tough to go against. And they're a great team. But, a lot of the stuff off the field was like, holy cow. Like, I mean, every day was police blotter. So I think that is kind of where Georgia is. I don't think they're as bad as the Gators were, but, that's just kind of an issue. Like the driving stuff is crazy. They had the fatality with the staffer. Yeah, really, really, really bad stuff. So Yeah, I think that this is kind of an overarching scope right now when you talk about, how do we restock the roster? Because again, this is why I know everyone thinks that, me and Nevada might just be dumb or something, and we just don't care about recruiting as much. But with the transfer portal, man, it's like when people are like, God, we're not going to have running back next year. It's like, well, we'll see, because we have a lot of money, and we've got Chip Kelly, and we've got Ryan Day, we've got a great, and if I'm a running back and they say, hey, you can come play running back in a team that has Julian Sand at quarterback, JJ Smith at X, Brandon Ennis at slot, and then Carnell at Z. You will never see a loaded box for your entire career. Like those guys, if they don't want to cover those guys or double cover JJ, then then they're insane. So you got great receivers, man. Your life is way easier as a running back, way easier, and I think that's going to be enticing for a kid like Nate Frazier or someone of his ilk, because they're going to go after a big time running back. It's not just going to be, hey, hopefully can roll it out and maybe Bo Jackson will be ready to go. Like, I mean, if Bo Jackson can be a good complimentary number 3, perfect. Just kind of like James Peoples is this year, and then keep rolling them like that. Sam Williams, Dixon, whoever. But they got to go get a monster next year, and I think they're going to. Nevada, I'm like you. Like again, like people are worried about who's going to be the left tackle next year. Like I don't care. Who's going to be the running back? Don't care. Defensive end? Don't care. Because I think we'll be very active in the portal. What would be your strategy if you were the GM of Ohio State football? Like, would you go after some of these ready-made portal guys? Because again, I think that that's the move. Because the worst thing you could do, say we get David Sanders Jr. Say he would have committed to us. If he shows up and he's not good enough to play right away, which he probably wouldn't be, and all of a sudden, you got a guy making, 7 figures sitting on the bench, and he might even stink, who knows, versus a kid who's proven he can play college football at a high level. Like, what would be your split on that? Because again, I like getting guys like Caleb Downs and Quinn Sean and Will Howard, and those guys didn't look like they were lost out there when they took their first snaps. But I'd love your take on that.
Well, I think it for me would depend on the position group. I think for a position group like offensive line, which is so development heavy, and we all it's almost kind of a joke when you watch like the NFL introductions every week when they're introducing like the linemen, and they're all from you know North Dakota, Abilene Christian Tech, and they're all from these obscure schools. And you're like, man, did none of these guys get recruited, or did none of these guys evaluated as first? But it's just, that's such a heavy development position. Whereas I think other positions, it's easier to see guys that are ready made. I think it's easier to see that, say for example with wide receivers. I think with wide receivers, I think you can see the talent, you can see the catch radius, you can see the jumping, you can see the speed, and you can see how easily that's going to translate to success at the college level. I think for offensive line, it's so difficult to do that. So, for me, it would strictly be predicated by you know, given the development of it's not like I would pass up on taking lottery tickets on bringing in offensive linemen, but one, I'd bring in a lot of offensive linemen, and two, I'd be super active in the portal in terms of doing it. But yeah, I don't sweat anything with recruiting anymore because of the portal. I mean, the game's changed. It's a fundamental change in the way that you're doing business. You're not just locked into who do we have on our on our 2 deep, on our 3 deep, who do we have in our locker room that can help us. Literally every other team other than maybe 5 or 6 teams are pretty much a feeder team to you, and you can go out and be as aggressive as you need to, and be as you know you can basically recruit other teams in terms of doing it out there. So I don't I understand teams that do it. I was worried initially about culture, but I think the culture now is just you win 1 year at a time. You win 1 year at a time. You go there, you fill your needs. You can still recruit at a high level and have guys to pick from. But the reality is, like as you've always said, depth is an illusion, because your depth can go out the window and go somewhere else if it's not playing, and other people's depths can be starters for you if the circumstances are right. So I don't sweat it. Ohio State's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that you've got guys. Everyone's always obsessed with depth, but in this era, it does not exist. Like, I mean, in the era of an instant transfer portal, back in the old days when I played, like if you wanted to transfer to a 1A school, you had to go sit out for a year. And again, that deterred a lot of guys, man, because when you're a year 2 or 3, like you don't want to go play scout team for a year, and plus that burns a year of your eligibility. So I mean, you literally can't get that back. So you got to go. If you redshirt your first year, don't play your second year, transfer somewhere. Your third year, you're going to be playing scout team, which is terrible. So guys were basically stuck, and unless you wanted to go do that, and then hopefully you'd be ready to go for 2 years, but you weren't. Yeah. Happy anniversary to Beth and Karis. I saw that. Happy 18th. Appreciate you guys being on here every night. But yeah, I like, getting a Josh Simmons, who I know a lot of people weren't as excited about as maybe some people were, but I mean, he played well. I thought for a guy that missed a lot of camp, and, it's hard to not practice and go play a game, even if it's against Akron. I mean, you got to have your conditioning right, and your timing and all that. And I've talked about that a million times with tackle, but, some of these young guys, that we've gotten because of NIL have just been absolutely dominant. And Brandon Ennis is quickly becoming, one of my favorite players, because that kid, I don't think he's ever going to fair catch. I was talking to some people about that today. And it's like every time he gets a chance, man, he's going to take it and turn it around. And like I think, and again, this will be like kind of a wackadoo statement, but like, when you return a punt 30 yards, to me, that's the same as a 30-yard reception. Or you turn it 40 yards or 10 or 15. I count that almost as like a reception, because again, if you all of a sudden create 100 yards for the offense and you flip the field and you get 40 yards, like that's a humongous. I mean, honestly, it almost might even be more important, because it's such a backbreaker and a momentum shifter. If you have a punter punts at 45, 50 yards and then you return it 40. Like that's demoralizing to the other team. So again, there are some guys that are skyrocketing with their stock right now. BI is right at the top of the list, because he's a monster. Nevada, what do you think we're going to see the most out of like week 2? Like I think like heading into this game, I still don't think they're going to run Will Howard like they're going to versus real teams like Oregon and Penn State. But I think that it'll be interesting to see if they rotate the O-line at all anymore, because again, our backups only got 2 snaps, except for guys like Carson and a couple guys that rotated with the ones. What are some things that you think we might see this week versus Western at Michigan?
Well, I think we're going to throw the ball more. I think we're going to throw the ball more. I think Western Michigan's going to force us to throw the ball more. I think Western Michigan is going to go into this game thinking that we're going to try to work on the run, so they're going to crowd the box, and they're going to force us into a situation where Will Howard's going to have to throw, and I think we'll do it, and I think we'll throw effectively. And for Ohio State, look, Chip didn't have a good game. Chip didn't have a good game. It was his first game up in the box since 2008. Just getting used to the helmet comms, just getting used to working with Ryan Day, and trying to do some things out there on the field with a new group of guys, and it's going to be fun to watch his evolution as a play caller, and kind of see what they kind of undo. But I really think it's going to be, while I think that the chalky thing to say is, hey, we're going to run the ball, we're going to do this, I really think we're going to throw it. I think we're going to throw it all over. I think it's going to be throw to set up the run, and I think that's going to be dictated by Western Michigan, trying to load the box, blitz, try to create some havoc plays, and it's going to open up things through the air for us.
Did you see any of the Wisconsin game last week?
I watched the whole thing.
I mean, those guys play hard. I mean, I was like, Luke was.
Yeah, they were. They were right in the game. They were right in the game, man. They were right there.
Yeah. I mean, they were sweating. I mean, I was like, God, like, please don't choke this one up. I still root for Luke, and I was just like, dude, don't lose to Western Michigan at home when you got your brand new, spread offense guru, and the offense was clunking. I mean, I was thinking Barry Alvarez is going to come down from the press box and make him run 2 tight ends and a fullback like they did for 30 straight years. But I think they went back to they'll go back to smashing it, I think, after that first week. But yeah, they're going to be tougher. They'll be better than Akron. And again, this season, And the schedule, like the ramp of it, is actually it's just gorgeous because Akron's the worst team you play. Then you play Western Michigan, who's a little better. You play Marshall, who's probably about the same as Western. And then you play Michigan State, who they're not great. And then you get into Iowa, who can't score. And then you play, you start ramping up to Oregon. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. And Oregon, as much as everyone was terrified of Oregon, and I think Oregon's a good team, like their offensive line didn't play great. I watched those guys, and they weren't exactly murdering people out there. And there's a lot of, like I think that everybody just automatically assumes that Oregon's going to be the same team they were last year, but they didn't play like it, and they're still replacing a first-round quarterback in Bo Nix. So we'll see. I mean, again, I think that they're going to be obviously a huge challenge, and I'm sure they'll play a lot better against us than they did week one. But yeah, I kind of like where Ohio State is on schedule. Again, it's like I said. For me, it was the perfect game because you win by 46, nobody gets hurt, and there were so many things that you got to fix and correct that it was like, I mean, what are you supposed to do? Like I said, the worst thing that could happen is if we win 77-0 and everything looks great and that it's nothing but flowers and roses. Like I like it when there's a little bit of consternation, and like I said, these coaches turned up on these players during the film session on Sunday, so it was not a fun day to be a Buckeye in the Woody. And I've lived those as a player and a coach, and they suck. So, with that being said, we can dig into.
Now hold on, Kirk.
Good.
Now, Kirk, before without going to the Google machine and just checking, what do you think Oregon rushed for against Idaho?
75 yards.
On how many carries?
30.
It's close. They were 37 carries for 107 yards. They were 2.9 per rush,
Which is terrible.
in a 24-14 game. I mean,
That's terrible.
Ohio State fans, lined up on the ledge when we're not doing 6-7 yards per carry. You made 2.9 yards against Idaho.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, a lot can happen. Do I think that means Oregon sucks? No, it just means don't overreact. It's week one. Let's just, as the immortal Aaron Rodgers said, RELAX, just relax and let things happen. But yeah, 2.9 yards per carry.
I'll tell you what, I loved I loved when Aaron said that because that was so on point because he again, week one there's a lot of reaction overreaction, really week to week there's a lot of reaction and overreaction, and it was just funny because I watch Bill Belichick does all these things now because he's not coaching anymore, and he was talking to Andy Reid and he talked about how the Chiefs beat them like 41-14 or some crazy score. And that was when he said the "we're on to Cincinnati" thing over and over again. And they ended up winning a Super Bowl that year. But, at the time when they got waxed at Arrowhead, like 41-14, like the whole thing was that Brady was done, Belichick was done, dynasty's over. Like, and this is like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. So, let alone, Will Howard and Ryan Day and Chip Kelly. So, again, I just, I kind of take the same mindset as like when I played, is that you can't, and again, this is the ultimate cliche, but you can't really get too high and you can't really get too low. Like you can't, go over the moon if you play great, and you can't really beat yourself to death if you play like crap or whatever, because, it's always somewhere in the middle. Something that I did think was unique is the fact that these guys can watch the film on the sideline. So, when you're sitting there with your line coach and that you blew a play or you gave up a sack or we didn't give up any sacks, you give up a pressure or whatever, like you're already going to get that chew in like on the sideline. So the next day, I don't think it's going to be as bad. I actually I was like, man, I wish I could just get ripped here and now in the middle of the game instead of like getting re-ripped, on Sunday. Cause I mean, I used to get ripped in film all the time, and this is part of playing football. And some coaches were more, crazy than others. Like when I played with the Bears, but I was with Harry Heastand, who coached at Notre Dame. And he was an absolute artist with the F word, and it was amazing. And I used to sit there as a rookie and I was like, this is great. Like I didn't even know how you could say the F word like in that sentence, but he would make it work, and I was like, this is fun. Welcome to the league, welcome to the NFL. So anything else about it? We will get into some super chats.
Well, I'm going to say something that's not on topic, but I'm going to have to say it just because I want to say it. I have never been more confident that Michigan is going to vacate wins and have postseason bans than I am today. Never, never ever in this whole process. So take that for what. So if you're listening out there and you can take this little audio clip and hold Nevada to this, I have never been more confident in that fact happening. So mark it down. Put the time stamp and the date stamp and everything else like that. But yes, if there was a way to push more chips into the middle on this one, I would push more chips in the middle. I'm beyond all in on this one, and this one's happening. And people that made bets with me, you can just pay me now, man. I'm telling you, just pay me now because I'm going to be relentless on this one. I'm going to be taking receipts and just calling people out on this one. Just pay in advance so you don't reach Nevadabuck's ire, because this is happening, boys and girls.
What specifically happened? Because again, I just feel like if they don't vacate wins, then you might as well get rid of the entire system based on they're cheated to win. But what is there something specific that changed today? You get contact, like what is the big hoobah?
Yeah. From talking to the NCAA people, Michigan is now they're completely in the bargaining phase right now, where they're just trying to figure a way out. There's no more defiance. The white flag has been raised. They're completely capitulating. They know, and it's happening. And I'm just saying, it's only a question of, I think they have to self-impose. I think it has to reach negotiated settlement, because the NCAA has dug in so deeply on this one. They're not giving in. There's no wiggle room, and Michigan realizes that now, and they're literally, I'd say panic is probably the right word, but they've reached the point where there's just tremendous infighting about the path forward at Michigan, because there is, it's the Kobayashi Maru for any of you Star Trek fans. There's no winning play out of this thing. It's just a series of bad options. So, but mark down Nevadabuck's thing, that vacated wins going backwards, postseason bans going forward. Nevadabuck final answer.
Does somebody with a brain finally get into the University of Michigan after the last year of stupidity of the president like saying bet, and the athletic director like saying bet, and the coaches, and because I'll never get over how they handled all this, and how stupid they were, and how they just were so flippant. And I get Harbaugh being a moron now because nothing can really touch him. He's gone. Like, they already suspended him for a year and whatever. But like the rest of those guys, like Ward Manuel, I'd be like, guys, like, the executioner is coming. Like, either he can kill you or he can chop your arm off. And I'm like, well, I better figure out how to play Xbox with one hand, I guess, because I'd rather have my arm chopped off and die. And that's kind of where they're at. And instead, they're just like, no, we're not going to do anything. They just get their head lopped off because they're stupid. But yeah, I've been waiting for an adult to stand up and say, hey, guys, like, we keep taking this course, but it just, the hole's so deep that they're literally almost to China at this point. And I never could understand why they would be so stupid towards the NCAA. But again, it is Michigan. They do give out general studies degrees. That's like the only degree that any of their players ever get. So I totally get that. They're not very smart. They're very low on the Wonderlic. So it does not surprise me at all. Anything else about it before we get into some super chats?
No, I figured that was enough. That was we kind of buried the lead. That's not part of the title on the thing, but it is a massive update.
Well, the titles can change, as we know. So
this is true.
That is true.
Good.
Donald and Karen at Rospect, thank you. People are having trouble hearing me. That's probably for the best. I think Nevada came over and cut my wire, so I'm just kidding. Somehow my microphone was lower than it's ever been, and I'd never adjusted, so it should never change, but it was lower. So I appreciate you guys telling me that, and all of you guys that have my cell phone, thank you, because you guys all texted me at the same time. So I appreciate you guys. I was able to adjust that pretty quick. But thank you, Donald and Karen. Thank you for being an Ultra member as well. D. Sunny, thank you for the 5. Yesterday, you said Bill O'Brien called an amazing game. I believe Nevada said that. Can you talk a little bit about what goes into a coach making a game plan, any order of operations? Nevada, I assume you want me to take those.
I, I'm going to defer
Let's,
to the co-holder of my tree,
the the
and then the guy that the all American. I'm going to go with the old All American, old number 74. I'm going to throw this one to you.
I'll throw it to you since you're the offensive coordinator of the Manhattan Beach Mud Sharks for all those years. So
Bears,
the
Manhattan Beach
Bears,
Bears.
the Bears. When you're a
We were the
Packers
Bears.
fan, you named them the Bears?
No. Hold on.
No,
No, here's what happened. Okay,
no.
my kid. Okay, so here's the thing. My kid gets on a team, and it was like there was like the good team, and then there was like the bad team. And so my kid signed up for the team, and he had never played football for really small, like little guy. I'm talking about like 6 years old, and he got put on the bad team, and the bad team was the Bears. They were just that was the name of the team, and the coach kind of sucked, and so their practices consisted of, hey, go run down the end of the field and run back. And I'd sit there as a parent and be like, this is ridiculous. What are we doing? This is ridiculous. So the next year it was like a legacy team. So you kept the same players from the thing, and
Yeah,
we had some good young players, and I knew this team was going to be good. So I kept it the Bears so that people knew who to sign up for because I don't want to confuse them by changing the name of the team. And then we
yeah.
went on to like this iconic roles. I had these kids from age 6 to like 13, so I had like 7 years of just absolute domination with things because you get the same players year in and year out. And so we were always the Bears because that was the name of the team that I inherited, and I never changed the name. Isn't that crazy?
Did you wear like a button up uh shirt like Woody with like a tie and like a little black hat when you're out there?
No, I wore like an orange bear. I had a bunch of bear stuff. I still had a bunch of bear stuff. So I had like a blue and orange one and an orange one and a black and orange one. I had a bunch of bear
So
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
you like bought you're that guy like buys like the NFL Bears stuff and you wear that like the
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. Exactly. I
what
was like
was
Ditka.
it
I was like
was this was this like in '08?
oh, this went from the time Tyler was born in '04.
Okay.
So it was from the time from like 10 to like 17. It was like 7 years of football.
Man, I was gonna say because you could have worn again if you would have been the ultimate dirtbag, you could have worn my Bears jersey and wore because again the Bears
Oh,
you have to the
oh,
Bears
oh,
have the Bears have like 50 numbers that are retired. So when rookies come in, there's like literally if there's 12 rookies, there's only like 12 available numbers. Now it might be better now because you can wear a single digit as a skill guy, which you couldn't do that back when I played. So like of course they give me the vaunted 69 and I'm just like oh my god I'm that guy. They gave me the 69 jersey and
uh,
the guy that had it the year before was Fred Miller and he weighed like 400 pounds and like so the Bears who were like notoriously cheap took his jersey and like took his patch off and put my name on the back of it and this thing was legitimately a moo. We talked about a moo like this thing was like a 7XL jersey and I was like can I get this thing like taken in or tailored or
no,
something?
no,
Because it
no,
was
no,
like,
no, no, no. Wait a second. Now, remember we were talking about swaddling our tree with like Linus's blanket. I think we're not
ugh,
going to swaddle it with, we're going to swaddle it with your old Bears jersey. We're going to
the
swaddle it
moo
around
moo. Oh my god.
when we have our tree trimming this year for Christmas. Yeah,
Oh
bring
god.
that jersey, and we'll swaddle the tree with it. We'll swaddle our tree.
The big Bears moo. I mean, it was huge. I was like, God bless this thing. It's terrible. But yeah, I was gonna say that would have been fresh. You're out in Manhattan Beach. You're like, why are you wearing a '69 Barton jersey?
Oh
And again,
god.
you would have
Oh
got.
god.
I wasn't there very long, so you'd have gotten it at a great deal. Because I know that you're always thrifty.
Yeah,
It probably made
I am
some
thrifty.
like I mean, you could go get it at like some thrift store in like Honduras or something. I'm sure for $1, you get
some,
a
some buy,
Reebok Barton jersey.
buy it from some kid in Nigeria or something like
Uh,
that.
no,
Don't don't.
it wouldn't even be a kid. It would be an entire family would be like living in it. It'd be like a giant like they'd stretch it over a couple trees and they'd live underneath it like it's a tent. And say, thank you, Mr. Barton 69. You provide us shelter. Giant Barton 69 jersey in the middle of
Oh
some
god. Oh,
sub-Saharan thing.
we got to get one of those. That's gonna be awesome.
I agree.
Oh,
D Sunny, again, What goes into making a game plan? Any order of operations. All right, so I'll give you a pretty decent look at it. So it all starts Sunday morning, where we start breaking down the tape. Sunday when we first get in, we grade everything as a staff. We grade grade the whole. If it was this past Sunday, you grade the Akron game. The whole offensive staff is in one room, and the whole defensive staff is in another room. It takes like 2 hours to go through every play. Mind you, like when you're watching the tape, it's like constant rewinding. It's like how I do it, and people yell at me because I rewind too many times, but that's how teams watch tape. Like when you're the offensive, line coach, you have 5 guys you have to grade. So you have to check them and see what they do and footwork and blah, 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 so whatever. And then after that, you go into, once the grades are done, you've got about 3 or 4 hours to start watching like Western Michigan film. And then, you get with the players, you have meetings, you recognize the champions, whatever player of the game. You award that after you do the film sessions. And then you do actually you usually do that on Tuesday, I think Monday or Tuesday. But that evening after, at Ohio State they practice on Sundays, so they practice on Sunday. It's not a killer practice, it's probably like a 45-minute practice, but they make sure that you get all of the lactic acid and all of the Patron and Michelob Ultras out of your body. So they run you a little bit, and they have you do 2-minute drill and stuff, so you're moving around a little bit. And after that, the staff comes in and they watch probably the most recent game. Like I would imagine Ohio State was probably watching the Wisconsin game. The offensive staff goes in one room, defensive staff goes in another room, break it up, watch the film. You stay until probably 10 on a Sunday. And then Monday is like when the heavy work day starts. Monday, it is 6 a.m. to 10, just watching film. I used to have to draw all the defensive fronts versus basically every formation you could ever dream of. So I'd have to go find a clip, and I'd have to draw where the guys line up at, and I'd put that up on the board, and Ed Warner would get up when they put the projector on, and he would draw through the whole running game. So I'd put the fronts up, and he'd have the little whiteboard, and you'd literally shoot the projector right on the whiteboard so he could draw with his marker. This is what we do. This is how we'd adjust. This is what we'd audible to, blah, blah, blah. So we did that. That would take an hour and a half to start the run game stuff. We'd all get together as a staff, watch a little bit more film. After it was like normally everybody splits up into their own rooms with their interns or whatever, and they do kind of their own study. Like a lot of guys like to study film differently. Again, like it's not efficient to have a whole staff study film together when Larry Johnson doesn't really care about what the secondary guys are doing. Like he's trying to study the offensive line and whatever. So most of that gets done Monday. Formulate the game plan for the running game Monday. Kind of get a general passing game stuff Monday. Tuesday obviously is the hardest practice of the week. We call it Bloody Tuesday, so we get that all scripted. Kind of get the baseline stuff going for the team. Tuesday night we work on third down, red zone. We do that Wednesday. Wednesday we do third down, red zone, and we do short yardage, goal line. So kind of the ancillary stuff. So you do all that, all the stuff that you practice on Wednesday, you work on and make sure it's ready to go Monday night, and then you really clean it up Tuesday night. And then Wednesday, it's basically, okay, what looks good, what's going to be on the cutting room floor, and you kind of narrow down the game plan as to what you like. And then you kind of figure out, okay, well, who's earned touches? So if you've got 50 plays or 60 plays or whatever, Trey Henderson needs 8 touches, Quinshon needs 8 touches, Ennis needs 4 touches, JJ needs 8 touches. So you kind of do like a little tick sheet. What plays can we run that are JJ plays or Will Howard plays or whatever. So you kind of work back through there. Then you kind of go through who's healthy, is anybody limited, that type of thing. So that and again, and you always look at who can you attack. And again, like Boston College, which is a tough, hard-nosed program. Bill O'Brien's a tough dude. Like when they watch that Georgia Tech film, like Boston College is a lot closer to Georgia Tech than they are Florida State in terms of the toughness, wanting to run the ball, wanting to run the quarterback. And again, I don't know how many times Nevadabuck and I have to sit and talk and say, running the quarterback is the absolute meta. It is the greatest thing in the entire world for college football. And people don't listen because people are stupid. And, watching Georgia or watching Boston College with grossly inferior talent shred Florida State with a running quarter when they needed it the most, they ran the quarterback. And they had in Florida State with all their athletes and all their first rounders and all the guys that drive Lamborghini trucks to the facility, none of them could stop the running quarterback. And it shredded them. So yeah, and so like that's kind of a little bit of the order of operations, and hopefully that was good enough. Nevada, do you have anything to add? And do you have anything to add to the running quarterback? Because my God, like watching Boston College versus Florida State, I was like, why did we not do this the last few years? And thank God Will Howard's here. But what are your thoughts?
Well, just on the running quarterback, it's like when you watch the smartest minds in all of college football, and I do put Bill O'Brien from an offensive standpoint, you know, just from a play calling understanding of what works. I mean, Bill O'Brien's got to be up there. He's clearly a smart guy. Whether you like him, whether you respect him as a head coach, all those things. But as an offensive guy, he's a smart dude. And his whoopee is the quarterback run. It's just math. It gives you an extra blocker. And when he needed it most, what did he go to? He went to the quarterback run over and over and over again. That and the wheel route, because Florida State just seemingly couldn't have never seen that before, and they kept running those guys. They'd run the guy out, and then they'd run they'd swing the running back out, and nobody was out there covering him. So it was crazy watching him run the same play over and over again. But no, the quarterback run is undefeated. I truly believe that Ryan Day going away from the quarterback run these last 3 years is singularly the reason why we've had issues. I think it's been the difference between winning and losing in some of these big games. Again, it's hard to point to one particular factor or one single thing or narrow it down to one particular item. I just think that bringing it back with Will Howard, bringing it back with Chip Kelly will make such a profound difference for our offense. And I'm excited that we have that as part of our arsenal, because it's just been so frustrating to watch everybody else do it, and we're the only team that doesn't. So good on us. We're finally getting with the program.
Nevada's Will Howard going to have a rushing touchdown this year?
Oh yeah, I bet you. Please. Bet that, man. That will happen.
Is it crazy that you could have bet the last couple of years that over under Ohio State started QB1 rushing touchdowns under 0.5? You would have actually won that.
3 years. 3 years. We are in year 4 of that right now. We are in year 4 of that program right now.
Oh my God, that is wild, especially in modern football. It's wild,
crazy stat.
Luke Nicely next to the 5 with 105 rosters on the horizon. How do you see the roster breaking down? How many at each position do you think? Whew. Well, let me think. Ooh. Quarterbacks, I'd say. All right, I'm going to have to get the piece of paper out real quick. Let's get the notepad out. Nevada, do you have any clue? I mean, you probably not done any roster management stuff in your time, but let me see real quick.
Yeah, I really sit down and did. I mean, you got to be going 20 offensive linemen though, right?
Oh, easily. You got to do. I mean, because again, I don't think it would be that different from how it is now, except for you got 20 scholarships, but. You're just basically getting rid of the walk-ons, which, again, I think is idiotic and stupid and terrible, but that's just my opinion. So if you go 105, oops, it's a little high, 105. So let's go quarterbacks. I guess you could say, I kind of want to do round numbers. So, let's work backwards. Biggie. So O-line, 20. Receivers, God, if you take 3 of your, 12 maybe? I'm probably going to be way off of this. I'm just thumbnailing this right now. 12 wide receivers. QBs, let's go 5? 4 or 5? What do you think, 4 or 5? What do you think?
I think you got to have 5.
5. Yeah, but I mean, we didn't have 5 last year, did we? 5. I mean, 5 scholarship ones. I don't know. Because that's the thing that's going to be different is like, do you, I mean, I guess you take 5 quarterbacks because you always have a couple walk on arms because, that's the thing is like, you're going to have to probably take some lesser guys that'll actually get with the program on here. Running backs, you got to have, what, 8, 10? I mean, let's just go 8. So we'll go 8. So then we're at 20, 40. We're at 45 so far. And then tight ends. So tight ends, what do you have? 5?
5 or 6.
Yeah. Let's say 5.
At least.
Yeah, 6. Okay, so you're at 51 so far, and you've got, so that's half the team. You're at 51. So then let's go over to the big heavy. Let's go D line. So D line is probably, if you're taking 20 O linemen, you're probably taking 18 or 16 D linemen. I mean, I think 16 is the number, because then you're basically 4 deep across the board. DBs, I mean, when you play 5 between safeties and corners, see, that's going to be the big heavy one. Linebackers, probably 8. So I'll match that. 8 linebackers, 8 running backs. You probably need more linebackers. So that's 24. And I'm just gonna put specialists. So SP is, let's just call that 4. If you've got a kicker, long snapper, punter, and then maybe another kicker or punter or whatever. So there's 20, 28 linebackers. So what do we? So we got 51 over here. So that leaves us with, 54 over here. So there's 20. I mean, this is going to be a light because again with the walk-ons, you're going to have. I mean, this is 4 deep on the O line. Yeah, you probably need more receivers, honestly. If I'm looking at this, linebackers. DBs is going to be a big one because we play 5 DBs. So let's just say 5 times 4. Let's just call that 20. So you're almost just like you're 4 deep at every position. And again, that could be, I've already had linebackers down. So probably close to that. There's 40. That's 40. 48, 51, and then so let's get Nevadabuck in here. So that's about 48. So that right there puts you at 99. And I'm probably light on receivers. You probably need more receivers. But I basically just did 4 deep at each one. But you could always take you might need a couple more tight ends. A couple more linemen. So that's 99 Nevada. So then you kind of have like 6 floating spots. So it would probably be something like that. I apologize for the chicken scratch. So yeah, it'd be 6 or 7 tight ends, 20 to 22 O linemen, probably 12 receivers. Let me get Luke's thing off here.
Yeah, because five deep at all 22 positions is 110 plus specialists. So it's a little less, like 4.5 deep at every position, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I basically, like for this, I did 4 deep. So if we play 3 receivers, you times 4 is 12. 5 O linemen times 4 is 20. We play 1 tight end. So I just kind of, we play like 1.5 tight ends because we did do some 2 tight ends. So I did 6. Running backs, I just did 8 because you could have a fullback or a whatever, Linebackers, I did 8 because we played 2 of them. So 4 deep. D-line 4. 6, and again, so this is a rough breakdown. Now, if you have some superstar DB and you need to take another D lineman or whatever, that's where the 6 floating spots are. Where, if all of a sudden you want to take a second quarterback or you want to take a transfer portal guy and it throws the numbers out of whack, that's kind of how they do it. Because sometimes there's always like a guy where it's like, if we can get him, we're gonna fit him in, and that's what you have those little floating spots for. Because again, this is gonna be crazy because again, it takes away the walk-ons, and again, like the walk-ons, we probably have 120 guys, so you're gonna be down 15 bodies on the team, and a lot of those guys are guys that, they take one for the team and they play scout team and kind of do the whole 9 yards. So, but like I said, I think that's a pretty good rough estimate as to how you'd break things down. You might have a second punter on scholarship if he's good. I don't know if both of our punters, the McLarty kid and the other kid, are on scholarship, but yeah, this is just something they're doing to keep from being infinite scholarships now. So yeah, that'll be really, really interesting. But great question, Luke. Again, I honestly, I used to look at that board because Mark Pantoni, he does a lot of things, but something that he was really big on, or Urban made him really big on, was that he would keep that board like deadly accurate because you're always projecting who could be transferred. Now it's even harder because now you're projecting guys that could be transferring. Before it was guys that would be going pro. Now it's both. You got to project if a guy's going to go pro, or if he's unhappy, he might transfer out, or you might force him to transfer out and process him. So, Pantoni always keep that board really accurate because, you gotta know how many spots you have in recruiting. Because again, you don't want to be short. You don't want to take a kid, then you're short a spot because the kid doesn't leave, and then it gets into a funky situation where you have to gray shirt a guy or chase a guy. Like again, I don't know if we did that with Jamel Dean. Jamel Dean has made like $70 million playing corner in the National Football League, played at Auburn. We chased him on signing day. And again, people I talked to in the building swear that it wasn't him getting processed. They swear that his knee was so bad that he'd never be able to play football, and he could play at a D3 school and they'd manage him, but he couldn't play at a major school. And the kid goes to Auburn. He's like a second round pick and signed for $70 million and won a Super Bowl. So that might have been a bit of a miss. So yeah, Christopher J. Rich, thanks for the 20. Oh, Yoder has been talking crap about how Ohio State fans need Ewers to beat Michigan because we can't. He's over there running his mouth. Can someone take care of that, please? Thanks, Kirk. Nevada OH. You guys are falling for it. Don't fall for Yoder. Yoder, he loves to troll, and he's good at it. And he says all kinds of craziness and stupidity. But he already knows that Quinn's about to come up there and absolutely, it's going to be like gangland violence when the Texas Longhorns show up against that Michigan team. And they are very confident. And Steve Sarkisian is dialed up, boy. And Texas has got some ballers on their team. They're really good. So, I'll make sure Quinn gets a pair of gold pants for beating Michigan this year. I'm excited for it. But Nevada, your thoughts? Old Yoder talking trash to Ohio State fans about how we need Ewers to beat Michigan because we can't. I don't fall for the troll thing. I know that's Yoder's thing. He is the antagonist and he likes to harass people and get them all jazzed up. But what are your thoughts? Do we need Quinn Ewers to beat Michigan?
Well, Quinn Ewers is going to violate Michigan, but we're going to violate Michigan too. I think the futures lines moved to like 13.5 or something like that on the Ohio State Michigan game. And no, it's hey, they had their run. Those games are going to be at least 21 and 22 are going to be vacated. Now those are not forfeits. That I mean, but 21 and 22 are going to be like they did not happen. So, I don't know how many years it's going to be since Michigan beat Ohio State, but that countdown clock's going to go back. I guess 23. I guess they'll keep the 23 win. I think they will keep the 23 win. So I guess it'll be one time in 21 years or whatever the heck. I don't even know what it's going to be, but yeah, don't fall for Yoder. He wants to do the thing, and I just keep saying whenever he starts opening his mouth, you want to bet. And then it just shuts him right up because he doesn't want to bet. He doesn't want to bet on the game. Ask him who has to bet to say, hey, you want to bet on the game? You're so confident. Let's bet on the game. Come on, how about that, Yoder? You got money. No, he doesn't want to bet.
Because he knows. He knows better.
He
knows the whooping is a coming, man. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pretty. And the Michigan folks are going to be very, very sad, which I love. Jojo, thanks for the 5. I feel like there's something off with the O-line. I miss the old days where the O-line used to have fun knocking people off the ball. I thought our guys did, they did some good things. I mean, they were pushing some guys backwards. I mean, the one play I broke down last night, Wells Kazmarek had a pancake, blocked the guy about 7 yards downfield, and Josh Simmons was moving guys, and I think that's kind of overblown. I thought that I thought they were fine. I didn't think that they were great. I didn't think that, but I didn't expect them to be great when you've got a redshirt freshman and a redshirt sophomore making their first career starts at guard. I actually thought those guys played pretty good for all the circumstances. So, a month ago, Austin Seyerville didn't think he was going to be starting the first game. I mean, I could have given Austin Seyerville like 1,000,000 to 1 odds. Hey, you're going to start at left guard game one, and he'd be like, "No, I'm not. Donnie's an All-American." But again, that's the beauty of college football. Is like there's a lot of injuries, so he got in there, and I thought he played really well, and I think he's got a bright future. And so, again, it's one of those things where once you make a start at Ohio State, everything changes because you are a guy who's been a starter before. Everything changes. You're not a guy who's just a bench warmer, your second team, third team. You've played in the beginning of the game in competitive snaps, and that changes everything. So a guy like Austin Seyerville is going to have immense confidence going forward. So is Tigra, Seth McLaughlin, the guys that are making their first starts at Ohio State. So yeah, I think that it's going to be beneficial. I think the line's going to get better. I really do, and I think that the thing that will also help him get better is we're going to run Will Howard. Right? We didn't run him at all. We ran him like one time because you don't really need to get him hit versus Akron. But when he starts getting loose, it's gonna be absolutely magnificent. Nevada, your thoughts? Do you feel like there's something's off with the O line? And Joe just says he misses the old days where the old line used to have fun at knocking people off the ball. What are your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, just early. I mean, you go back to the 14 season where we ended up the year with Zeke going for 700 yards or whatever it was in the last three games, and then you go back to the second game of the year against Virginia Tech.
Oh,
we weren't exactly knocking people off the ball that night, so it's really early. Sometimes these things just take a little bit of time. Chip needs to get into his thing, and like you said, the Will Howard running thing is going to open up a lot. We've got two great college running back, not good, great, in Quinshon and Trey, and they're gonna eat. They're gonna make some guys miss. They're gonna open some holes, and it's gonna come. It's coming. It's coming in practice. It'll start coming in the games, and we're not far off. We're right there.
I mean, college football, especially with offense, it's kind of like the circle of life, where it's like you go back and watch the Navy game. And I challenge you guys. That's why YouTube is amazing. Is you guys can get on YouTube, type in Ohio State versus Navy 2014 full game, and watch it, and tell me if I'm wrong. And then go watch the Alabama game and the Oregon game, and I mean it's the same guys. It's all the same 5 players. They didn't sub anybody. Same dudes, but magically they got a lot better, and they started matching people, and it was one of those deals where people. I think that a lot of the criticism of the early 2014 offensive line mirrors the criticism of today, where people are disenfranchised, disenchanted. They're not thrilled about the O-line. They think they stink and they're soft and whatever. And I mean, I know that we live in the message board world. Go read some of the stuff that was said about those guys after the 2014 game. Go read what was said about Billy Price in particular, because Billy got absolutely bludgeoned for his performance in the Navy game. And again, I told him, look, he's a redshirt freshman. It's his first career start. Navy plays a really weird, odd defense, and it's confusing, and they blitz from all over the place. So it's not the easiest thing in the world. It's not like it's just a 4-2-5 where they just stand there and easy to block, or the old 4-3. So Billy got crucified after that game, and I was like, he's going to be okay. He's a tough kid. First start, didn't go great. But we won, which again, all I care about is winning. I don't care. Again, I'm not a coach. I'm not a player anymore. Those days are in the past. I just want us to win. If we win every game by 1 point, I will be thrilled. Because that means we're national champions. So I don't care about style points, because as long as we win every game, we'll be in the playoffs, and then the real fun starts. So, all right, here we go. Jim Jackson, thanks for the 5. Hi, Kirk Ward OSU is the favorite to land 2027 quarterback Brady Edmonds. Thoughts on QBs committing early? Well, I think a lot of them they feel like they have to by the start of their sophomore year, or they might lose their spot. I think that a lot of these kids are, they want to kind of lock in that they're the quarterback in the class and they can be that guy. But we've seen what's happened with us, and we had Dylan Raiola locked in, and he left, and then we get Aaron Noland, and he's okay, and then we get Julian Sain, and I think Julian Sain is a superstar. So again, we've had like a lot of that quarterback scholarship. It's been a long, strange trip. So I think it's great when kids commit early, but I also don't get excited until they actually get here because there's a lot of things that can change. Quarterback coaches can change, coordinators can change. Now, I don't think Chip Kelly's going anywhere for a little bit, but that happens. Like Corey Dennis moving on hurt some stuff, and again, I just don't. I don't care about quarterbacks 3 years down the line, 2027, and that's a lot. I mean, we still have 25 and 26 to go. It'd be nice, and I know that they're really excited about the kid from Ransom Everglades, but he's coming this weekend. I think he's at 28. He's a freshman this year, which is Neiman Lawrence. So I was almost called him Neiman Marcus. That would have been hilarious. But Neiman Lawrence is coming up this week. So yeah, I don't know. Nevada, what are your thoughts? Again, a quarterback committing early, like it's nice, I guess, but I just, we've lived through Dylan Raiola and we've lived through kind of the quarterback thing. And again, I think that if there's a position outside of offensive tackle that is attractive in the portal, it's quarterback, because a lot of these coaches don't have time to wait for a quarterback to develop. But what are your thoughts about it?
Well, I look at it when you get a commitment like that far in advance. It's like an opening bid. It's better to have it than not. But you've famously stated that people are only as loyal as their options, and that goes for colleges. That goes for for players. So look, if we got a commitment for that, I'd be excited about it. But it's hard, given the mobility of kids to get too over the moon. But I'd rather have people interested than not. And the bottom line is a lot of people are interested in Ohio State because Ryan Day is getting guys to the league. So it will not surprise me to see us land an elite quarterback in every recruiting cycle. And kids know that. And like you said, they want to be the guy. And if you don't do it early, somebody else grabs that spot, then you're left looking somewhere else. So I'd rather have it than not. But I keep it in perspective for what it is.
Yeah, and sometimes that, again, I'm not saying anything with Ryan Montgomery, who 3 years ago I think everybody in the world thought he was going to be an Ohio State Buckeye, ends up committing to Georgia, and he just tore his ACL last week. But like if he would have committed, did we still go after Tavian St. Clair, who's become the preeminent number one quarterback in the country? So I don't know. And again, sometimes I think that it's nice to maybe do that and commit or whatever, but if some kid becomes a supernova, then there's a good chance you're going to have a second quarterback. Which again, that reminds me a lot of Jack Miller, who committed really early to Ohio State and was hey, I'm going to be a Buckeye, yay! And his dad runs the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess and blah. That we always would stay out for the Fiesta Bowl, and then all of a sudden C.J. Stroud really starts to tear it up at the opening, and the guys, G. Scott and whoever else, I don't know if it's Jackson Smith, whoever was out there with him was like, this kid's amazing, is telling Ryan Day and those guys, hey, you need to look at this kid. And they end up looking at him, then they take him, and then he turns into the second pick in the draft. So again, I don't think that it means anything if you commit early, because they're still going to make sure that they have the best quarterback that they can get. But that's just like one of those deals. But it's a nice thought, but I just, the quarterback thing, I mean, Tavian St. Clair like a year ago was mid-range prospect, and he's turned into the number one prospect in the country. And we have him in the fold for Ohio State. So things can change pretty quick, especially at a position like that. Chris S., thank you for
Danny Clark.
Perfect. That's a great example. Like Danny was a really nice kid, Maslin kid, really nice committed in ninth grade, I think. And, got the Ohio State tattoo on his arm and the whole nine, and then didn't really develop the way that they thought he would develop. And then, Tate Martell was interested in, again, I love when people crack on Tate Martell, because I didn't see any of that when he actually came out of Bishop Gorman, because he was literally the Gatorade player of the year in all of high school. And people say, oh, Tathan, oh, he's small or whatever. I'm like, dude, in Urban's offense, like people literally thought he was going to be Johnny Manziel, like because Johnny Manziel was all the rage back then, and he was quick and he could distribute the ball and whatever. Like he wasn't Peyton Manning, but again, at a time where you look at the NFL now, and you see guys like Jalen Hurts who are making $55 million a year to play quarterback. Like you don't have to be Peyton Manning anymore. If you're an athletic dude, you have a shot. And I think that when Urban left, that killed him because the offense completely changed, and Ryan wanted a bigger guy that could throw it better, and went with Fields, and then he just made some decisions, like went to Miami and had Danny Enos who couldn't coach his way out of a wet paper sack. And again, sometimes in life it's all about the decisions that either work out or don't work out. But yeah, I just I remember that because I mean nobody was sad for Danny when they took Tate Martell, because again you're getting the Gatorade Player of the Year in all of high school, and he went undefeated I think in high school, and they beat Aquinas, they beat every good team in the country when he was at Gorman. So that's a great example though. Chris S, thank you for the 20. Watching from Tampa, you guys always say the O-line isn't a problem, and it turns out you guys are always right. We seemingly never run the ball well against lesser opponents, but they always play well in the big games. I mean, here's the thing. If we really, really wanted to run the ball and play Travion and give Travion 15 carries and give Quinshon 15 carries and run Will Howard, I think we would have put up even better numbers. But I mean, Trey still averaged 8 yards a carry. Like, let's not forget about that. I know he only had 8 carries or whatever it was, so he didn't have a 190-yard game with 2 touchdowns, but he didn't need to. I don't want, like I said, I don't want Trey to have 20 carries versus Akron. That's stupid. Get James Peoples out there and Sam Williams-Dixon and whoever, and let him keep the tread on the tires for Oregon and Penn State and Michigan and whatever. We've had him. We're lucky to have him for a 4th year, so don't kill the kid in games that are totally worthless. Nevada, your thoughts? Again, Chris Essex for the 20. Appreciate you, my friend, watching from Tampa. Tampa is God's country. Tampa is awesome. I love Tampa. You guys always say the O-line isn't a problem, and it turns out you guys are always right. Again, and I'm just going to say this. We argued with people that are just complete morons for 2 years that literally said, well, yeah, I know we got Paris Johnson and all this, but who's going to play tackle for Ohio State in 2025? How are we ever going to field a team? And I'm like, well, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We've got a transfer portal, and sure as can be, our tackles are just fine. Are they the greatest tackles to ever played Ohio State? No. But are they solid, good players? Is Josh Simmons going to be a mid to high round draft pick playing left tackle for us? Yes. Is Josh Fryer going to be a mid to late round pick, likely a late round pick? Yes. So we have 2 draftable tackles playing when people are like, well, I don't know how we're ever going to field a team in 2025. But again, that's why you listen to us. You don't listen to them because they're stupid and we aren't. Nevada, but your thoughts again. The offensive line again, which everyone in the world is scared to death, and we're gonna suck. And it turns out that's not true. It says we seemingly never run the ball well against lesser opponents, but they always play well in big games. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's the thing. We'll tell you the truth. If it's going to be a problem, we'll tell you. I mean, if for some reason we don't have guys, we'll be the first one to tell you. It's just, it's kind of like Ohio State. If there's a problem at Ohio State, if there's a talent issue, if there's a coaching issue, if there's an overall strategy issue, we'll mention it to you. It's just, we're going into a season with a ridiculously talented team with 2 and 3 and 4 deeps at some positions of dudes, and arguably one of the best coaching staffs ever put together at the school. So we'll tell you for sure. But no, I just think that for me, the running game has been scheme related. I think having Chip Kelly in fixes the scheme. I know the kids that are up front. These are good quality kids. They're highly regarded kids. They're kids that I think we got 11 or 12 4-stars, a couple of 5, at least 1 5-star. I mean, we've got talent in the room. So when you combine talent with scheme and a great strength and conditioning staff, we're going to be able to run the football. So I don't know, and great running backs. So and a running quarterback, and let me tell you what, Will Howard can scoot. I know he's a big guy, but this is not a big guy with heavy feet, man. This is a guy when he gets going, he can house it. So no, I think all the ingredients are there, and I'm not worried. We're going to run the ball well this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that having a running quarterback makes your life a million times easier. Again, this is coming from you want to look at a transformation in 2004 when we were atrocious on offense and, we made a couple switches in the personnel department. All of a sudden, Troy gets in there and, everything opened up. And go watch him in '04 against Michigan. He won the game by himself, literally running the ball, breaking the pocket, just destroyed Michigan. I mean, had like 80 or 90 yards rushing, which back then was a ton. Again, he was such a factor with his legs and moving the chains, and it was something that teams just weren't ready for. So with that and Will Howard and with Chip Kelly, I mean, Chip Kelly's an O-line guy. He likes to run the ball. And he's I'm sure Ryan has had to talk to him. We're not going to run the quarterback against these bad teams, but when we get into it versus real teams, we're going to start running Will Howard a little bit. So, but I think that we'll be fine, and these guys will make a nice jump this week, and people will be able to sleep at night because we'll run the ball well. So, well, Nevada, I think we can wrap this show up. This is a good one tonight. Any final thoughts?
No, just excited about the way that the team's progressing this week. Excited about the game. This is going to be a fun game. This is the perfect type of game. I love opponents like Western Michigan because Western Michigan's a good football team. They are not. They gave Wisconsin everything they wanted last week. So this is a nice test for us. It's not a joke by any stretch of the imagination. And I think we're gonna have a fun game on Saturday night. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Well, with that being said, thank you guys so much for being a part of the Scoop family, and thank you for all you guys do. Hope you guys are having a great week. We got NFL football tomorrow night, so that'll be absolutely spectacular. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, I appreciate you guys for all that you guys do. If you want to do something awesome, please subscribe to our Apple Podcasts and our Spotify. You can subscribe to both, actually, if you want to be super awesome. Leave us a 5-star review. It makes it easy for people to find the show. The show is growing very quickly, thanks to you guys, thanks to word of mouth. Again, we bring the heat and the scoop each and every night so that you guys can have something to enjoy and look forward to. And again, I always appreciate the nice compliments. Leave some comments down below, anything that you'd like to see. If you have an email to send, buckeyescoop@gmail.com. Appreciate you guys for all that you guys do. With that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. We will talk to you guys tomorrow, 7 p.m., leading right into the NFL opener, Ravens Chiefs. So with that being said, you guys have a great night. Go Bucks.